Discussing this, and we're seeing very rapid developments. And when Ed was joining us just this week, I believe on Monday actually, he was saying it's going to take a while. It's going to take a very long time for oil and gas companies to be really interested and want a vested interest in Venezuela. Because of the infrastructure, because everything's kind of been left for many, many decades. And it's going to be interesting to see already. We're seeing the president tweet it out, what plans that they're moving forward with Venezuela.
I remember after the first Persian Gulf War, there were people who were saying, let's go take the oil. I think people have the sense that you're just sticking a garden hose in the ground and sucking the oil out and carrying it away. It's a lot more involved with that. It's very, very a complex operation to, first of all, to pull this oil out of the ground, then to refine it. And Venezuelan oil is pretty dirty.
That's exactly what it was explaining to us. And I don't think we understand fully how that all works.
Yeah. It's going to be a much more complicated situation than I think a lot of Americans understand.
And there's also a lot of logistics and sustainability, and there's a lot that goes into these type of contracts, and especially from an oil and gas position. I would imagine that they have to also be held the same standards and responsibility that they have if they are, an American company going into another country.
Yeah. And interesting from a political aspect on this, Trump campaigned on the idea of drill, baby, drill.
Yeah.
And it's not quite that simple.
Right.
Ed Hers is on the line with us right now. Ed, it's really good to visit with you today. Read your op-ed in this morning's Houston Chronicle with great interest. I wonder, though, whether those energy executives who are meeting with President Trump did. You say this is, the math on this simply doesn't work. Tell us why.
Oh, I believe.
And spend billions of dollars. And on
Ed,
oil.
You were muted right at the top. Can you start again?
I'm sorry. No,
that's
you're
fine.
Good to go now. I just want to make sure, this is something really interesting.
It's Friday. We'll put up these glitches. So again, you say that the math doesn't work. Why?
Yeah.
Well, Rystad and Wood Mackenzie here in town both estimate that the break even to get the oil out of Venezuela is about $80 a barrel. Now that has yet to be proven out. But we haven't had $80 a barrel oil since last January, before Trump took office. Right now, the price of oil is less than $60 a barrel. So why would you want to go spend billions to get $80 oil when you're only going to get less than 60? Because the Venezuelan crude is a heavy crude. It sells at a discount to West Texas Intermediate or to Brent. This doesn't look very good. I mean, the companies have to be cognizant of the economics. The oil patch is the worst performing sector over the last 15 years in the S&P 500. Wall Street is not loose with money with the oil patch anymore. So billions, uncertain payout. First of all, we need to have the safety of the employees assured. And that can't be done just with aircraft carriers. The safety of equipment. There's so many uncertainties. So my expectation is that the CEOs of the oil companies will certainly give the president a round of applause and state that they will start studying this. I mean, if they really can go back to Venezuela, if they really can go in with capital and then find a way to get it out as a profit in some years' time, they'll undertake this. But I believe it was Darren Wood, the CEO of ExxonMobil, who said, well, we've been into Venezuela twice and been expropriated twice. We're not so certain about wanting to go do this again.
Right. You're listening to Hello Houston. If you have thoughts on the U.S. developing Venezuela's oil fields, you can call or text 713-440-8870.
Ed Hers, you also say this is taxpayers. Why?
Well, you got to ask, why would you invest in bringing $80 oil to the market when it's going to break everybody in the U.S.? Well, and that's an exaggeration. But we're producing a little over 13 million barrels a day, 4.5 million barrels a day out of the Permian Basin. So that's West Texas and New Mexico. It's light oil. It doesn't directly compete against the heavy oil from Venezuela. And in fact, we have so much of the light oil from the shale plays that we export about 4 million barrels a day of it. But still, we're using taxpayer dollars to essentially build a new competitor. The Texas Independent Oil Man is not going to be happy with this. I fully expect that Billy Bob Thornton's going to have something to say about this on the television show Landman shortly.
Ed, as Doug mentioned just a few seconds ago, President Trump ran on drill, baby drill. But you're saying, despite his rhetoric, the president has never really been a supporter of our domestic oil industry. How do you reconcile that?
Well, drill, baby drill was never going to work. At the end of 2024, the Dallas Federal Reserve Bank Energy Survey, the respondents, 85% of the respondents stated they weren't going to drill for oil if the WTI price was less than $70 a barrel. And it's been less than $70 a barrel pretty much from the first week that Trump took office. His first state visit, was to Saudi Arabia. He met with MBS and he asked for lower oil prices, and he got them. This was a hallmark of his first administration. Even taking the pandemic shutdown out of the average price during the first Trump administration, the price of oil was less during Trump 1.0 than it was during Obama or Biden's administration. So, 40 years ago, Trump would pen what we would call advertorials, basically essays that he would pay for to appear in the New York Times and Wall Street Journal, calling for low oil prices. This has been one of his focuses over his entire career.
President Trump has been investing basically the federal government in a number of private industries, which is a curious thing for a Republican president to be doing. I wonder if those executives who are meeting with the president today might also look at those examples and see that, well, there's a nose in the tent argument about all of this.
There's an issue there. I mean, socialism by any other name. Are we trading one for the other? And part of Drill Baby Drill last spring, Trump and Secretary of Energy Chris Wright talked about investing U.S. money from a newly created U.S. sovereign wealth fund alongside independent oil companies drilling directly in wells. And the Independent Oil Patch, the Independent Producers Association of America, the IPAA, they revolted against them. They said, no, this makes it a ridiculously unlevel playing field. For the lucky few who get this federal money, they're going to be subsidized against those of us who can't. Wall Street was extremely unhappy. As we know from the president's and the administration's approach with colleges and universities last year, they believe that if anyone receives federal money, then the federal government has a say in what's going on. So, I can't imagine that the CEO of Chevron, the CEO of ExxonMobil, the CEO of Hillcorp, is going to be really excited about having essentially a new board member, somebody with a veto card that they can throw down on the table at any given time.
So it really seems that these executives who are meeting with President Trump today, they're walking in with some trepidation, would you not say?
I think they're going to tell the president they will consider this, they will study it carefully, they will put it into their capital budget evaluation. Keep in mind Exxon, Chevron, Shell, BP, all of these companies have a multi-year, very disciplined approach to the deployment of capital. Where I would expect to see investment going into Venezuela would probably be the private equity-backed oil companies. They are not subject to the scrutiny of of the public markets and public shareholders.
What do you see as being the future of the Venezuelan oil industry?
Well, we don't know. President Trump has removed Maduro as the CEO. It kind of appears and sounds like the Trump administration views this like a Wall Street corporate takeover, as if one company just bought the other one. The entirety of the Maduro regime is still in place. PDVSA's executive management and employees are still in place. Anyone in Houston who's done business with PDVSA knows that it's a corrupt environment. We just had the executives from Citgo released. They were imprisoned by Venezuela for 5 years, 6 years. Kidnappings are the rule of law. Ransom, theft. We don't know that Venezuela is going to restore a rule of law, or we don't know if we can trust them. That's the simplest way to put it. And if we don't know that, no one in a fiduciary position is going to advance their shareholders' money to go find out.
It's interesting, Ed, though. I have a quick question about Chevron. They are the only major U.S. oil company still operating there in the ground. Does this put them in a unique position, or does this put them in a holding pattern?
It puts them in a unique position for sure. They are there. They have production of 130, 150,000 barrels a day. And of course, they have to share production with PDVSA. It's a production sharing approach. The state owns the oil, and that's the way the major oil companies operate in Saudi Arabia, operate in Iraq, operate in other nations across OPEC. The development going forward is going to require more money. PDVSA is essentially broke. I don't know how this is going to be financed. So if a project takes $100 and PDVSA's share is 50, it may be that Chevron has to front the entire 100 to go forward, and so that of course will dilute Chevron.
Ed, can you explain what is PDVSA?
The state oil company of Venezuela.
Oh, okay, I see. All right.
Yeah.
Saudi Aramco is the state oil company of Saudi Arabia.
Right.
Pemex is the state oil company of Mexico.
Gotcha. All right.
Ed Hurst is an energy fellow in the economics department at the University of Houston. Ed, it's always great to have you on. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you,
A pleasure, Ed.
Well. I'm out running a errand this morning to Wally World. Then I'm going to go get me something to eat real quick. On this cloudy day, it's very humid. It's supposed to rain. It's been sprinkling. The temp is 79 degrees Fahrenheit right now. Ag Zone 989B. And I'm listening to talk radio again. And as you just heard, they are talking about the oil in Venezuela, all that, and how America has taken over basically the production of oil in Venezuela by Trump. And they're talking about how are they going to get the oil out of the ground. The oil fields are trashed there in Venezuela, rusted out. They need a whole new infrastructure package to get this a lot more oil out of the very, very large oil reserves in Venezuela, which is supposed to be one of the largest oil reserves in the whole world. And from what I'm seeing and hearing, as you just heard yourself, is that from an economic standpoint, oil is cheap now. And if oil gets even more cheaper, from what I'm hearing, it's going to cause a lot of layoffs. It could cause a lot of layoffs in the oil industry right here in the United States, and especially in Houston. Houston is ran on as far as employment, the energy sector, oil. the big oil companies are stationed right here in Houston. Houston has a lot of refineries. A lot of refineries are here in the Houston area. So, from what I'm hearing is, if they want cheaper oil, Trump wants cheaper oil, that cheap oil could hurt the employment industry here in Houston and throughout the country. That's the reality. Me, myself, personally, as far as oil and all that, I bought an EV. I'm not controlled by what oil does at all. I took myself out of that by buying a EV. And so I don't use gas. I haven't used gas in almost 3 years. And I have saved thousands and thousands of dollars by not using gas. I made and saved thousands of dollars because my EV does not have an engine. I don't have to worry about oil changes and all that nonsense. This is why I bought an EV. you know? And, if I charge my car at a Tesla super station, I'm only paying about $12 for almost 300 miles of charge. $12 to fully charge my car. $12. Let that rest. I don't have to worry about oil changes because I don't have an engine. I don't have to worry about any maintenance. So this oil thing in Venezuela, as far as American investment, which is going to take billions and billions of dollars, could be a bad thing for America in the long run, or it could, we don't know. So we'll have to sit back and wait and see. I'm going to go in here and to Wally World, do my little errand, come back out, go get something to eat for lunch, and head back to the house. Y'all have a nice Friday here.